Full Kit Henners, Podcast 2, Take 389. Hello, this is Full Kit Henners. Just thought I'd do a brief review of the England-Lithuania game. Obviously England won 4-0 in case you hadn't heard. Rooney moved within two goals of Bobby Charlton's England record of 49. Raheem Sterling got his first international goal, which was I was surprised to hear that was his first goal, because it seems for a young lad he's been in the England setup for a while now. Because we've known he's been a really hot prospect, probably still is for a good long while now. But no, that tapping from Rooney's cross was his first ever goal for England, and Danny Welbeck became the top scorer in the Euro qualifiers from any country with his goal. I think that was might be his sixth or something in Euro qualifiers. Yeah, but his deflected sort of header became the sixth goal, and in for himself in these Euro qualifiers. And Harry Kane, obviously 80 seconds in his debut, got his goal. I won't be focusing too much on that as such, as that's been discussed and analysed countless amount of times. But now, when I saw the starting lineup for the England-Lithuania game, you're always looking for surprises. Roy Hodgson, although his football's not always the most entertaining to watch because he builds from the back, he does always bring a couple of surprises when doing his team selection, and today it was Nathaniel Klein. Friday night it was Nathaniel Klein, and Nathaniel, he's a strange. At first I thought, well, that's a strange pick, but then I remember I was trying to form my own England 11 the other day, and I wondered, well, there wasn't many options at right back, is there? Got plenty with a fully fit squad. You've got plenty at left back, but at right back it was a straight choice between Walker and Klein, really, unless you're going to go for someone like Smalling, who has played at right back before but done a competent job, but you can blatantly see he isn't a right back when he plays. But no, Nathaniel Klein started, and I thought Nathaniel had a fairly solid game for his competitive international debut. And another surprise was Fabian Delph. Now, in my first podcast, I said I was sure Fabian Delph had pulled out injured in the squad yet. He started in the number 11 role, and I was intrigued actually when he started in that role, because when you see someone playing in the number 11 like him, and bearing in mind you've got two holding midfielders like Henderson and Carrick playing, you think, well, he's going to get a more free role, isn't he, in the midfield, that Fabian Delph, and it did seem like a bit of that, but I think he couldn't shake off the sort of box-to-box midfielder role. He sort of adopted, at Aston Villa during his time there. So they were the two main surprises in the starting lineup. And particularly in the first 20 minutes, Lithuania's defence was it was worse than San Marino's, because it was a ball by that man Delph actually, that where Rooney hit the inside of the post minutes in. Just a ball between the two centre halves, just simple lobbed pass, and England were through. And minutes later led to the first goal. Ball between the centre half and the fullback. Danny Welbeck's running in, shot save, Rooney heads in a tap in. And that was how poor their defence was at first. They did tighten it up eventually, and almost had a slightly unfortunate conceded goal right before half time. That was, I think, almost the last action of the half, because there had been, after the first 20 minutes or so, there was a massive sort of lull in the game, which we've had that for England games with years, particularly at Wembley, haven't we? We've seen there's good 20-25 minutes where nothing happens, which, from my personal view, if we're winning, it's not too much of a problem. I'm realistic. You can't expect 90 minutes of constant high intensity football. That isn't Roy's game anyway. He's not a high intensity football man. He's a patient man, and he's not going to be too bothered about having these 20-25 minute lulls in the game, as long as England is defensively solid, which they were. If they were on Friday night, I think only one cross that was about midway through the first half. I think that even troubled England. I think cross came in from the right. Klein was a little bit hesitant, and their left midfielder, I think he was almost in there, but Joe Hart, credit for his alertness. He's alert for a man who, I think in the 25 minutes before, he barely had a touch of the ball. But he was alert there to intercept the danger, and I think just did show I think he shows what a keeper he is, though, because how many keepers would be alert like that when they've been inactive for so long? But I think it's a bit silly saying that, because we all know in reality Joe Hart's one of the best keepers England have produced for a long while. Certainly this Certainly this millennium, you would have thought. But yeah, after half time, you wonder at half time actually what I mean, logic would dictate as Lithuania probably fitness levels dropping, probably given all they got in that first half, yet couldn't limit us to less than 2 goals. You'd have thought, well, surely they'd collapse now, and England will win comfortably. And we knew England would at half time. I mean, I know we've been watching England too long to really expect anything, but we knew we probably more or less won it by then. That second goal really knocked the stuffing out of Lithuania. But we know at half time, as we were listening to Glenn Hoddle, Lee Dixon, and the presenter Mark Pugac talk about the half that had been, and analysing England as we've seen so many times in the past. You wonder, is this half gonna actually rain goals? Because I think the players in the dressing rooms, of course, players are taught not to be complacent, but they've known in the dressing rooms this game, as long as we keep our heads, this game's more or less won. And so would they? I mean, that England would have the territorial and probably possession advantage. Certainly dominate possession anyway in the second half, because Lithuania weren't keeping the ball for very long when they had it necessarily. But would England really get the goals, or would they just relax and become a bit more of a training match? And second half followed a similar pattern to the first. England did go on the attack quite a bit. I think not sure how much of an impact the substitutions made on England's energy, but third goal came from one of the most, I think you could call it high intensity moves of the match. So Rooney ran down the line and crossed for Sterling. Couldn't really give much more build up than that, because they were showing Danny Welbeck, the questionable fall by him. Reluctant to call it a dive as such, but it was certainly a questionable fall. They were still showing a replay of that. Then Rooney went in and crossed to Sterling. But yeah, you were wondering, and although as I've said, I can take lulls in the game. I know it's not going to be 90 minutes of high intensity, attractive to see football all the time. You do wonder if, particularly in that first half, I thought, we could always freshen it up a bit. I know, I think this is used at lower levels and probably higher levels as well. A basic tactic used by managers is to swap wingers. And I thought that, inspired by that tactic, I thought, well, come on, Roy, that you're doing a good job, but do something, And maybe an idea I had in that first half was swap Rooney for Delph, put Rooney in that sort of wider midfield role, because Delph looked like he had a very good game, I thought, Delph, but I thought that it did seem a bit unnatural in that position sometimes. I thought, give him even more advanced role, just see what the lad can do. And Rooney, I'm not going to use the word world class, but Rooney's a good player, he's a good responsible player, knows what he's doing, he can occupy that wide midfield role. And I thought just freshen it up a little bit like that, just that would work. Surely that would just keep the players on their, keep their sort of energies up. I'd like to say, just make sure there's lull in the match, because if there's a lull for so long, we've seen it. I'm sure you've seen games at club level before, or where there's such a lull in the game, and suddenly one chance, one goal, the team loses concentration. Changes like that freshen the team up, keep up their concentration. I'm not sure how much, with all due respect to Lithuania, even if we had leaked to go, or I'm sure, like when we conceded against Slovenia, we've probably been capable enough to go up the other end and cancel that out. But not much to complain about from that match in all really. I'm still unconvinced by Leighton Baines. I've not really been convinced by him at all. Obviously they had nothing down their right flank, particularly in that second half. I don't think they had one shot on goal that sailed over. I don't remember any proper attacks they had in that second half. But Baines, so we didn't see much defensively. But in games before, I've seen Baines. He just doesn't get tight enough to his to whoever he's going to. He's not a patch on Ashley Cole, and I think Kieran Gibbs and Luke Shaw. He always seems to be injured for the England squad, but Kieran Gibbs, who's a touch word, but shaken off his injury problems a little bit now. He played by injury problems throughout his career. If he hadn't, he might well be already England left back. We never know. But I think Kieran Gibbs, I think he probably should be in the team ahead of Leighton Baines personally. Because I think Leighton Baines, a lot of his plaudits have come from his attacking performances. And with all due respect, I'm not going to say, he shouldn't play for England because he's on the other side of 30. He's not England's future. Kieran Gibbs and Luke Shaw, they're probably probably more in the long term. Plus, from what I've seen of Kieran Gibbs, he's been a. I mean, I know Arsenal defensively. I've never been impressed with them really defensively. They've always seemed a bit shaky, but I think that's more tactical than the players, than rather a reflection of the players they've got. And I think Kieran Gibbs is a good player, and I think he should be in the England team. I think Bain's plaudits have come, as I said, from his attacking performance, even against Lithuania. I can't remember any good cross he actually put into the area or any good set piece he put in. But no, I think Gibbs should start over him. But other than that, I mean, Welbeck got man of the match, as I said, despite some, questionable looking falls. Dare I say dives. So it was not a choice for man of the match. I thought personally I would have gone for Fabian Delph. I thought he had an excellent game. He's a player that I hope becomes a regular fixture in the England team. And credit to Roy, I criticise him for picking Baines, but credit to him for bringing someone like Fabian Delph in the team. And I mean, I was impressed when he played at Switzerland, started against Switzerland, because you thought Hodgson wouldn't take a risk like that, but he played very well when Welbeck scored those 2 goals to win 2-0. Now Delph's very good. I hope he becomes a fixture inside Delph, because he's a player I admire. And yeah, you can't directly say there are any bad performances in the team. Jones and Cahill did what they needed to do in that centre half partnership. Yeah, but 4-0. Obviously Italy will be a harder test. Maybe will Kane start? I don't know. Maybe people were criticising the fact he didn't get a start because he's the top scorer in the Premier League, and I suppose that would be logical. But we're hoping, at least with Roy Hodgson, with qualification more or less assured now, he can mix and match a bit. Try some younger players out, not necessarily younger players, but sort of newer players to bring in some kind of freshness. Even if that does mean calling up some players that maybe couldn't be considered necessarily young players, but informed players. So yeah, that's think that's all I wanted to say regarding the England-Lithuania match. I'm not sure when my next podcast will be, but I'm hoping it'll be in the near future. It'll probably be more club focused and international. But yeah, thank you for listening. Goodbye.